But just listen to John chapter 8, verse 31 and 32 out of the Passion Translation. Jesus speaking. Jesus said to those who believed in him, when you continue to embrace all that I teach, you prove that you are my true followers. When you continue to embrace all that I teach, you prove that you are my true followers. How do you prove you're a true follower of Jesus? You follow his teachings. You obey what he commands. You imitate how he lived. You set yourself to obey. You find out what the teaching of Jesus is, and then you set your heart to follow it. Verse 32, Jesus said, for if you embrace the truth, everybody say the truth, not a truth. He did not say for if you embrace a truth. He did not say for if you embrace some truth. He said if you embrace the truth, it will release more freedom into your lives. If you embrace the truth. Jesus, of course, was a believer in and a teacher of divine truth. That there is such a thing as truth. Say this with me this morning. Lord, touch my mind that I may understand the truth. Say with me this morning, Lord, touch my heart that I may love the truth. Touch my mind, God, that I can understand the truth. Touch my heart, God, that I can love the truth. Touch my mind, God, that I can understand. Touch my heart that I can love. We will pursue what we love. We will follow what we love. Today in our land, there is an ungodly ideology, or a body of ungodly ideas that have been set loose and set rampant upon our land. An ideology is the body of ideas reflecting the needs and the aspirations of a culture. The body of ideas that reflect the needs and the aspirations of a culture. There has been, I believe, put forth in this land today, especially in America, a body of ungodly, false ideas. I would even call it an attempt at collective demonization. What do I mean by that? Collective demonization. In other words, there's an ideology and a body of ideas that has the power to collectively and corporately imprison a whole culture and a whole people. The word counterculture. Counterculture. Counterculture is a culture with values that run counter to the established culture. To be counterculture is to hold a set of beliefs and practices and ideas that run in direct contradiction to the dominant culture and its beliefs. In the 1960s, if you were counterculture, you were immoral. How do you know that, Brother Jim? I was in it. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Y'all are getting so self-righteously quiet this morning. It's ridiculous. A counterculture arose in the 60s that brought forth, I believe, as a strategic pattern and plan from hell, a way of living and a way of valuing things that we are paying an ultimate price for in 2016. It came for our children. It came for our young ones. It came for those whose minds could be shaped and fashioned. And now many of those, listen to me now, many of those that were strategically a part of that counterculture revolution in the 60s are now in your universities as the professors and the writers of the textbooks that are influencing the minds of your children. So back in the 60s, if you were counterculture, you were basically immoral. It's called the sexual revolution. It was called the pill. It advocated free and open sex with anyone at any time. It advocated doing away with any kind of a belief in absolute truth and doing away with what had been biblical clarity for a very, very long time. Now, watch how it has flipped. Today, right now, today, if you are counterculture, you are moral. In the 60s, remember, the counterculture is the culture with values that run counter to the established culture. That means majority is the established culture. Counterculture is the minority belief. In the 60s, if you were counterculture, in the minority, you were immoral. Today, if you are counterculture, you are living a moral life. Question is, how long can we hold out? How long can we stand firm? Indifference can become evil during a great struggle between good and evil. Did you hear that? Indifference can become evil during a great struggle between good and evil. The only thing that has to happen for evil men or women to prevail is for good men and good women to do nothing. Say nothing. Shut up and do your little thing inside your church walls. No, it's time we come outside of our walls. We must not let them drive us out of the public square. We must stand up and speak the truth. Do it in love. Do it civilly. Don't become an idiot. But do it. Let them know what you believe or don't believe. They told us in the church, if you say too much, we'll come get your tax exemption. Come get it. You think I'd sell my soul for some money? You think I'll sell my soul for a bunch of filthy lucre? You think I'll sell my soul for mammon? No! Not in this life! No! There is a group today led by a pastor from San Diego that has been for the last few years taping their message about their defiance and disagreement with the Johnson Amendment, which threatens to take exemption away from 501(c)(3)s that speak about politics personally or endorse some kind of one candidate. They are literally taping the messages telling that it is unconstitutional what they did in that amendment, and they mail them to the IRS. Yeah, buddy. And they've got a what's called the Alliance Defense. I think it's ADF, Alliance Defense. And these are lawyers in America that are believers that are ready to come to your defense. Ready to take it all the way to the Supreme Court of the United States. They're ready. They're ready. You know why they ain't done it? Because they know they won't win. Not the good guys, the bad guys. Because it's unconstitutional. But we better watch who we get on the bench. Because it comes down to interpreting that Constitution, doesn't it? All right. Is it true there is no truth? Indifference can be evil during a great struggle with good and evil. You can't be a moral pacifist. Who's a pacifist? That's somebody who doesn't believe in fighting. doesn't believe in getting in war. This is a spiritual war, I know that. But you can't be a moral pacifist. So, number one, what is objective truth? What is objective truth? Objective truth is something that is true irregardless of the time period, irregardless of the dominant cultural values, irregardless of what they government might tell you, irregardless of what may be instituted over your head. Objective truth is true all the time. It was true 1,000 years ago, and it's just as true right now. It's called natural law, moral absolutes. Let's play a little thinking game. Statement, there is no truth. Is that true? Is that make the statement today, which many do. There is no truth. You have to ask them right back, is that true? If the statement you made is true, there is some truth, and that's the statement that you just made, that there is no truth. So that eliminates your argument. Are y'all with me? Truth is only an opinion. Is that your opinion? Well, anyway. See, to be a true skeptic, you have to be skeptical of your own skepticism. And if you're not a true skeptic. The distinction between lying and telling the truth presupposes that there is such a thing as truth. If there is no truth, then there's no lying. But everybody believes in lying. How do you know that? Because they practice it. And nobody had to come to you or to me and teach us how to lie. Do you remember? It came quite naturally. Like Joe Roller said, lying is an abomination in the sight of God and a very present help in the time of need. God love you, Joe. Nobody had to teach you how to lie. They had to teach you how to tell the truth. Well, why didn't they have to teach me how to lie, Pastor Jim? Because of a thing called original sin. Because of a thing called that we came out of our mother's womb a sinner. We were born in sin. You didn't become a sinner at your first act of sin. You were born in sin. In sin, David said, did my mother conceive me? In sin, original sin is still original. And it's still something that we have to deal with and can deal with, thank God, to the saving grace of Jesus. Yeah, the distinction between lying and telling the truth presupposes there's such a thing as truth. Communication has changed today from telling the truth to sharing our feelings. Amen? I just want to share my feelings with you. I'm entitled to my opinion. Not when it comes to thus saith the Lord. You're entitled to your opinion if I'm the only one talking to you. But if that book has said it, that's God talking to you. That's not Surratt talking to you. That's not Pastor Jim talking to you. That's the living God that has will to put his known revelation in written form called the Bible. And when it comes to God's declaratory statements, I do not have an opinion. We don't want to share the truth. We want to share our feelings. This is more momentous than telling a lie. To believe that we all have an opinion and every opinion is equal. That is more momentous than telling a lie. Why? Because when we subscribe to that, when we yield to that philosophy, that ideology, that everybody's opinion is equally valid, then we have a limit. We have taken out the foundation of truth. I said, was it Wednesday night? I said it's not right and left. It's right and wrong. Went over it then just like it did now. This means if we subscribe to this belief, well, instead of asking people, tell us the truth, share with us the truth, just share with us your feelings. You're entitled to your feeling and I'm entitled to mine. Everywhere except when it comes to the authoritative Word of God. Now, listen, I just read you a stat that said 49% of the pastors standing in pulpits teaching sheep of God do not subscribe to that. I don't know about you, but that is disconcerting to me. Don't take for granted who you're sitting under. If you don't hear it in this house, go find you one you do hear it in. You heard that from me. Because I ain't got time to waste my life, and you ain't got time to waste your soul. So find somebody that'll tell you the truth and not preach to get your attendance only. But find somebody that will embrace, buy the truth and sell it not. Buy the truth and sell it not. Listen, when it comes to truth, there's no price that's too much. And when you're trying to buy my truth from me, you don't have enough to do it. Buy the truth and never sell it. Praise God. They're getting happy with that. Number 2, collective demonization. Let's talk about that. I'm going to read from 2 Corinthians chapter 8. Beginning at verse number 3 from the Passion. 2 Corinthians chapter 10. And did I say chapter 8? Sorry, chapter 10, verse 3. Beginning with verse 3 of 2 Corinthians 10. For although we live in the natural realm, we do not wage a military campaign, employing human weapons, using manipulation to achieve our aims. Instead, our spiritual weapons are energized with divine power to effectively dismantle the defenses behind which people hide. We can demolish every deceptive fantasy. We can demolish every deceptive fantasy that opposes God and break through every arrogant attitude that is raised up in defiance of the true knowledge of God. We capture like prisoners of war every thought and insist that it bow in obedience to the Almighty One. Since we are armed with such dynamic weaponry, we stand ready to punish any trace of rebellion as soon as you choose complete obedience. Ooh, that's some Bible there. You ever read the Bible? I mean, really read it? Rather than just carry it around and throw it up on your dash? Or put it on your coffee table? Go get the Bible, honey. Pastor's coming over. Dust it off first. And set it on the coffee table. You laugh? That's happened. It's going to take more than carrying that book around to save your soul. It's going to take taking the teachings that are in it and begin to put it in application within your life. And some of them are pretty straightforward, and some of them are pretty profound and uncompromising. Collective demonization. Here's how some of the ways the enemy is doing it. Turning the counterculture into the dominant culture. One way is through images. Everybody say images. Images. Through the power of image. TV and movies have replaced reading books. Passivity has replaced active thinking. Images. We are so big on images. We can be captivated by them for hours at a time. And the power of imagery, the power of images have replaced us reading books. Reading books is it's just antiquated. You mean you actually, you actually read a book? Well, I put it on my Kindle and I put it on my, put it on my iPad. I'm never going to do away with books. I want to die with a book in my hand. Just like the feel. One thing, these old eyes are not near good enough. So a book, I need a giant print book, yeah. But I like to feel the texture of a book. I just like to absorb it. That and coffee. And they go hand in hand. My whole life is in that study over here in the corner of this building. You want to know the years of my life? You can find it in the library. You can find it in the books that I have read. I have consumed. And believe me, I didn't just read just hagiographies. I read things that I wanted to know something about what they did and what they believed. Not because I'm swayed by it, but I want to know my enemy. So I try to read as broad as possible. And people say, I'll wait till the movie comes out. Images have the ability to get in you without your consent. Images it appeals to your emotional side, not your rational side. Images have the ability to enter into our spirit without any censor whatsoever. That's why pornography is so powerful. That imagery, those imageries go into you and they become a part of you. And the enemy knows it. Listen, the enemy knows of the power of television. And I'm not preaching again. I'm not telling everybody to go throw your TVs away. If you got a 50-inch screen, bring it to my house. What I am telling you is learn how to control that remote and that channel. And if you can't control it, maybe you need to bring the set to me. Or bring it to somebody. Images just right past your logical, common sense, rational defenses. Bam! It's in your spirit. This is the way. And when we sit and watch these things over and over in long periods of time, we have been indoctrinated. Let me ask a question. May I ask a question? How much TV time do you have in a week compared to how much preaching you listening to in a week? Just calculate it yourself or write it down sometime. Do a little study on yourself and say, okay, this week I heard Pastor Jim twice. That's about maybe almost an hour. There's a couple of hours. How many of those image pictures have you watched? And then especially those you shouldn't have been watching. Then you come crying and saying, pray for me. Pray for me. No, I exercise. And I look at some people and say, I need some help up in here. Life has become a spectator sport. Images pass into our minds without censor. Reason is a censor for ideas, not images. See, when we use our minds, we can sit through there and many times think through a matter because we have been given a God-given thing called reason, the power of reason in your mind. And we can sit there and think through some things. But if we're just watching images, it goes through that censor. Unhindered, unfiltered. There are some things that I refuse to even slow up on when I'm going down through my Facebook with my 5 friends. Oh, seriously, there are, I told Bryn the other day, I said, there's just some things, I know Facebook does a filtering there, but there's some of those things I think they should not be able to put up, some of those acts of violence. So if it looks like it's going to get violent, they don't have to put up graphic content. I'm not going to click on that. I don't want to see that. That evokes in me a wrong kind of response. I see it, I get mad. Don't act like you don't, you holier than thou. I don't like what it evokes in me, so I don't watch it. The only way to stop that is don't watch it. Look, do a check on the movies you go see. Go get plugged in. Plugged in is what's his name? James Dobson's ministry, and you can click on this app, Plugged In, and it'll tell you everything that's going to be on that movie. It'll tell you every curse word that'll be in that movie. It'll number, I feel sorry for the guy that's got that job. But I thank God for somebody bold enough to take some time and try to do it. And they'll list it, so I don't never have to walk out anymore. I walked out on a few. Unsuspecting. I said, I ain't sitting here and watching. I don't care. You can keep my money. Just give me my popcorn. You can do Plugged In. It'll tell you everything. So you don't have to waste your money. And I'm going to say this with all Christian love and charity. Holy Ghost-filled believers should not be going to see some of the things they're going to see. Why? Because I'm holier than thou? No, because I know how the devil has put a strategy out for every one of us. Believe me, I'm not doing this out of some arrogance. I'm doing it out of concern. I'm doing it out of seeing lives racked and torn up and distorted because of what they put in. Garbage in, garbage out. Garbage in, garbage out. That's the way it works. Quit expecting to get productivity out and good things out when I'm putting in garbage. Next one is music. Everybody say music. Many theologians believe God sang the world into existence. Did you know that? Many theologians take a real deep study of the word and God said, and come out of it with God saying. That would mean that at the very heart of the material universe is a song. Woo! A song. The prophet said God sings over you. God dances over you. God sings over you. Our God is a singing God. Oh, praise his name. I believe there's such untapped revelation about the influence of sound and music upon people and health. There's a whole school of medical help about singing people into health. Just sing to them. Amen? Now don't go in there and sing Bad to the Bone. My wife had that for a while as her ringtone. She couldn't get it changed. Music is powerful. Worship is powerful. Music. Plato said, music is the first step in education. He also said, Plato said, let me write the songs of a nation, and I care not who writes the laws. That's profound. Let me write the song. In other words, Plato, the great philosopher, knew the power of the medium of music and songs. Songs can turn a nation. Songs can turn a generation. Songs can move you individually and powerfully. You know what arrested me when I was a 13-year-old? Music. That's right. Arrested me. Talking about my generation. Talking about my generation. I played a set of drums out of my garage. I live right on the main street of Hemet, and I'd open up the door. And I had me a phonograph player. You don't know nothing about this big old ugly record thing laying on there. Put that needle on, and there it'd go. Bah! I'd beat the way out of those things. Then I'd look out there and see if anybody could hear it. Walking down the street. I was experiencing my independence. No, the adults didn't like it, and we liked it because they didn't like it. And a whole generation got sucked in through music. And all the young people were following the Beatles because they looked like they were going somewhere, and they don't follow us because we look like we've already been, and sorry we went. Smile a while, give your face a rest. Music is the antenna of the soul. Music is a prophecy of things to come. Every social revolution that has ever been has been preceded by a musical revelation. Preceded by a musical revelation. Music can turn a whole culture. God, give us thousands of Jesus cultures and all of these wonderful young people that are writing their songs and singing their music and impacting a generation. Pluck that thing, man, and sing. Sing unto the Lord a new song. The power of music. So I'm so glad that there has been a revolution in Christian music. You know that Luther, you know the guy called Martin Luther in Germany in 1517, the Protestant Reformation? What Luther did is he took the music from the beer pubs of Germany and put Christian words to it. But what they were singing in the beer pubs was the music of the common people. So he went in there and took their sound, but he transformed the word, and he put the anointing of God in it, and it helps to bring about the Protestant Reformation. I'd tell you another little fact about Luther, but I don't think you can handle it, so I'll hold it up. Don't go there, all right? Music is emotional, not rational, not volitional. That's why the oldies just pop up in your mind. Isn't it amazing? I can't quote John 3:16, but I can sing. Get your motor running, head out on the highway, looking for adventure, whatever comes my way. Isn't it amazing? See, I'm a real hodgepodge because I got all that other old stuff in there. And then I got the music from Some Glad Morning When This Life Is O'er, I'll fly away. Who am I? I was born in Texas and raised in 5 other states, and most of the raising was in Southern California. Then I end up back here in Texas when I'm 33 years old. I don't know who I am, where I'm going, or where I came from. No, I really do. But you got to work through it. I know one thing. I don't like ties and suits. Oh, me. I'm not talking about you. You look very good in them. Everybody say music. Number 3, language. Language. This is some of the ways the enemy is attempting to collectively demonize our culture. Images, music, and language. Listen, languages are man-made, but language is not. Did you get that? Languages are man-made, but language is not. How do they create languages? Well, they come up with certain grunts, and you get enough people to agree with the grunt, and it becomes words of your language. That's what language is breathing out and in at the same time. Some people I know have a real problem with thinking and speaking, but even breathing and speaking sometimes comes hard for some of us. So we create words with the air and the vocal cord, and we agree on those words, and we learn a language. A language is nothing but an agreement of the patterns of words for a particular meaning. See, podium. You know, you see how people, when they're teaching somebody to speak a new language, podium. Podium. And we think we say it louder to help. Podium. ¿Qué pasó? Language. Languages are man-made, but language is God-given. The power for us human beings to take this thing called language and communicate. And it's made up of words. Words are labels. Words are presence carriers. Words are presence carriers. Isn't that an interesting thought? The words that I speak go out from me and go out from you, and they carry with them a presence. They're presence carriers. You can change a very dangerous situation if you just talk the right way most of the time. Not every time, but most of the time. Language is presence carriers. It carries logos. It carries the power of words, the power of language. It's mystical. It is absolutely mystical. The Bible teaches us that our words carry blessings and they carry curses. They're presence carriers. They carry the presence of a blessing or they carry the presence of a curse. Be careful what you say over your children. Be careful what you say over your family. Be careful what you say about those in authority. Be careful what you say. Get a guard over your tongue and over your mouth. You want to change your life, you got to change your talk. Got to. Well, I just don't believe in that word stuff. Well, you just did. You just did. One philosopher said, language is the house of being. The house of being. Reality comes to us bathed in the light of language. Wow, that's good. Reality comes to us bathed in the light of language. Now watch this. Here's the enemy's ploy. Change the language and you change people's perception of reality. It's just that simple. Change the words that they use to talk about and relate to and interact with reality. And you can change at least the way they perceive reality. And the way I perceive reality is just as important as the reality. Because the way I perceive it is the way it'll become a reality in my life. It may not even be the actual reality, but it's the way I perceive that. And therefore, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So, we have all these euphemisms. We don't talk about death and dying. We talk about passing away. So-and-so, did you hear? No, he passed away. You mean he died? No. Shh. You know what our culture has a real problem with death. Have y'all realized that? We don't want to talk about it the way it really is. We don't want to face it. We like to think, well, maybe I'll miss it. Maybe I'll be out that day when it calls, when the grim reaper comes around. So we PC it. We do not call abortion what it is. It's killing unborn babies. Ronald Reagan said he had noticed that he had never found one person that was for abortion. What did he say? Yes, thank you. That's what it was. He said, anybody that believes in abortion, he's found they were already born. Ask the unborn about that. Oh, well, common sense. We're losing common sense. Common sense. What does that mean? It means sense. It's common to all of us. It's supposed to be. Instead of calling it killing unborn babies, we call it terminating a pregnancy. Terminating a pregnancy. Instead of calling it homosexuality, we call it gay. You think that was just by, what shall we call it? Not sodomy. You don't even hear that word anymore. The PC police will be, oh my God, the PC police will be here ready. You can't say that. The Bible said it. You tell me I can't say what the Bible says? I'm not saying something the Bible didn't say. The Bible says it. Homosexuality? No. It's alternate sexual lifestyles. When I was 17 years old, I hitchhiked from Los Angeles, California to San Francisco, over 400 and some miles, out hitchhiking. Do not do this. And I got picked up and riding along the car with this guy, and he's having we're having a conversation, and blah, 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 and, you know, bye, 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 bye. And he says, finally, he says to me, he says, I guess you know I'm gay. I said, well, I'm pretty happy myself. Honest to God's truth. I mean, it's 1967, y'all. That gay thing hadn't come up. That it must have already been pretty popular in that community, but wasn't yet in mine. I'm kind of slow. So I said, I guess I'm pretty happy myself. I said, oh, no, I am. Then he told me, I said, stop the car, please. I'm getting off of the next ramp. Listen, it's a plan to desensitize us. And it's working. We don't hate anybody. I don't hate gays, and I'm not about to ever go out with some kind of picket in my hand calling them derogatory names. That is not the way Christians do it. You stand in their face lovingly and begin to tell them what God has to say about it. And if they receive it, fine. If they don't receive it, then, that's their choosing. But we have to take a stand, and we must not allow them to call us names and get intimidated and back off of the Word of God. Did you hear here I go. Did you hear all the names that one presidential candidate called us just this last week come out of that mouth like a machine gun fire? That's bad. I'm not xenophobic, homophobic, every other phobic. I'm a Bible-believing evangelical Christian. And I'm not ashamed. So I take that stand. And I won't back off. Okay, last one, promises. Change the language and you can change people's perception of reality. Promises. Only man can bind himself by a promise. Did you ever think about that? Animals can't. I mean, how many dogs have you seen promise to another dog? Ruff, 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 ruff. Well, ruff, ruff, ruff. Meow, meow. No, it's only human beings. Sorry, naturalist and humanists. It's only man that can bind himself by promise, and promises transcend time and bind us to the future. That's what a promise does. It transcends the moment and binds you to the future. 10%, it said, renege on their financial promises, whereas 50% renege on their marriage vows. What does that tell us? We value money more than marriage. Thank you for your enthusiasm. Promises. Thank God for hard-working, honest men and women, faithful men and women in our society today that are the anchor and the fortress and the foundation of our society. The quiet, ordinary people who go to work every day. I'm talking about the real heroes in America right now. The quiet, faithful, diligent men and women that get up every day and go out there and face that thing called work and a job and make a living and support your family and not abandon the kids that you have sired and not turn your back to those that are looking to you, but you take on the responsibility of being a man, being a husband, being a father, being faithful to your word, putting out your promise, and being held to your word. That's the heroes in our land. That's the heroes in my eyes. Not the people that's got many times the platforms in America and the celebrities in America and the people that are being way overpaid for what they're being able to do. Not for people that sat down during the singing of the national anthem, but for those that will stand up and honor the flag of America and honor the republic that we live in. Thank God, that's your heroes. Let me just let me tell you something. This too shall pass. This emphasis right now, the Spirit of the Lord is on. I mean, some of you are going, oh my, I don't know how much more political preaching I can handle. Let me give you, this too shall pass. We'll get through this series. Some of us casualties of war, but we'll make it. I can only preach what he emphasizes my heart to preach. And we need this right now. We need this right now. So I just do what he tells me to do. And that's all you got to do, is do what he tells you to do.